Welcome to my fourth Smile with Tim Hawk video. This one is in time for Halloween, and during this episode I'm going to record while I finish carving my Halloween pumpkin to save some time. It's good that I'm not a stand-up comedian, otherwise it'd be difficult. So I'm very happy to be a sit-down comedian so I can finish this. I haven't released a comedy video on YouTube like this in a while because I've been focusing on my podcast. And it's a little bit more nerve-wracking than I thought to make these videos, but I want to do at least one comedy video a month. It's also extra difficult with family over there, not able to sit still. But either way, I'm in my house. I have family. He's going to be talking. It might help me smile anymore anyways. But anyways, so this one is, I'm going to be releasing this on Halloween. This year, 2020 Halloween, there's a full moon. And it's going to be a good time. I got a lot of, what do wolves do on a full moon, buddy?
They howl.
They howl? What's a baby wolf sound like? Yeah. Bonus points. All right, so for this episode, smile to me means spooky monsters instinctively lurk eerily. So have a fun Halloween, and if you watch this after you had a fun Halloween, then I hope you had said fun Halloween. But this episode is specifically about Halloween memories and some funny scares and whatnot. And it can all be traced back to my subconscious masklophobia, I think. I looked it up. Just the fear of people in costumes and masks. And it's happened for a while. It's tough for me, but it's funny for you. So that's pretty much my main focus. It all pretty much started when I was about a year old, was I? Right about a year old, there was a reopening of a grocery store. And I was walking around at this point with my mom and my stepdad. And it's one of my stepdad's favorite stories to say, honestly. Because we were walking, and so little me just saw this person in an Oreo costume. But it just looked like an Oreo to little Tim. So I ran up to it. And then when this Oreo bent down to pick me up, I ran away screaming all the way away from my parents because I was scared. That's why I ran away. But you gotta go sit down. I was scared of the lady in the Oreo costume, okay? Costumes were scary. So I ran away from the lady in the Oreo costume when she went to try to pick me up. But I ran down the aisle and ran right to a guy in a Twinkie suit who also tried to pick me up. And I think at that point, my stepdad was laughing so hard, but he ended up grabbing me. But I think that really started that masklophobia that I've been searching up, because I have such a weird anxiety about it. And years after that, there was this Vacation Bible School person in a turtle costume at our church, and there's a picture of my stepsister hugging him, and I was trying to push him away because I have such a deep subconscious fear of people in the costumes. So that was very, very difficult. And Chuck E. Cheese. Yeah, Chuck E. Cheese was a tough one. In hindsight, probably shouldn't have wanted a birthday party there, but there was just so much cool stuff. But I definitely remember, whether it was my 7th or 8th birthday party, that by the time I realized that the person in the Chucky costume came to say happy birthday to the happy birthday boy, I vividly remember hiding under a table, hoping he would just move on and leave the cake. He didn't. He ended up finding me. And then, in the most creepy slow motion way possible, Chuck E. Cheese just bending his head down looking at me and said, "There's the birthday boy." And I don't remember much what happened after that. I'm pretty sure I got some cake and the presents, but that's pretty much what I remember about that birthday party. I don't think I went to Chuck E. Cheese for any other birthday parties. I think that was pretty tough for me. So the masklophobia, I mean, I'm very aware of it as an adult. You know, it's not like I usually run away screaming during Halloween. It's a little tough, but sometimes. But it's more of a fight or flight thing. Like if I'm just by someone that's in a costume, it's subconscious. It's all, every part of me saying like, you should run. And that's pretty tough as an adult. I partially want to blame movies. Especially random horror movies. I've definitely seen too many. And my brain creates all these things that I should be scared of. It's not the dark that I'm scared of. It's not water that I'm afraid of. It's what my brain imagines is in them. So clowns is a good example of, I'm sure there's a different phobia term, but I have this cousin who's overly paranoid of clowns, and I'm sure it's a pretty common one. Clowns and spiders, pretty frequent. But either way, I have this cousin who is very scared of clowns. And me, her, and her older sister, we went to a haunted house one time a few years ago. And it was great. The only time I'm not as scared is when people with me are terrified. That makes it a lot easier. But there were 4 different parts of this haunted house. And we knew the whole time that the 4th one, I don't know, that was awful. You could probably laugh at me not counting my fingers correctly. Whatever. The 4th one was clowns. And, you know, she was dreading that the whole time. And which kind of helped me smile. I don't know. But when we were waiting in line for the clown one, my 2 cousins were talking to each other like, I don't want to do this one, I don't want to do this one. And a worker walked by and heard how terrified she was. So on a walkie-talkie, he said, like, look out for the girl in the pink hoodie. She's extra terrified of clowns. And but over the intercom and everything, so that freaked her out. That was great. She was so freaked out that she forced her older sister to switch hoodies. And that was pretty great. So for anyone that wants to try to make fun of me for my self-diagnosed masklophobia, are you scared of clowns? Do you know someone that's scared of clowns? Because that's very real and very possible. And a lot of what I try to do is I want to save my little brother, who's almost 3, from the same fate of running away from Chuck E. Cheese and people in Oreo costumes. And we do kind of take turns scaring him. I think but he loves it. Every time he's scared, he immediately smiles and he still runs away. So it's satisfying for us to scare, but like he's so in the habit of it. Like I catch him hiding behind some coats sometimes, like on the coat rack. That's a pretty good hiding spot. And he's patient. He waits and tries to scare us. But I mean, last year he was 2 trick-or-treating and he wasn't really scared of anything. Last year he was a dinosaur, and a T-Rex specifically. And there was this probably teenager boy that we kept seeing around the neighborhood. And every time they saw each other, they would just roar back and forth. And that was beyond cute. So I don't think he's very scared at all. And as far as Halloween goes, he doesn't even care about candy as much, because when I was walking with him, he was more focused on puppies or not. And that's fantastic. And it helps me because every puppy he pets, I get to pet too. Because, you know,
Hey, you can't.
I do pet the puppies with you every time. He would be sad. Doesn't matter how much candy they gave him. He would walk away from a door without a dog. He's like, there was no puppy at that one. And I love it. But one of the only times I think I've seen him genuinely scared, we were playing at the park and there was like 6 other boys, you know, all like 5 and 10 years old. And they wanted to play zombies, which is just like, you know, bite, tag, you're a zombie, right? And he, you know, being like 2.5 at the time, he didn't fully understand the concept of zombies. So every time they pretended to bite him, he just like, and ran away. and it was pretty good. But then we were running around, like I told the boys, like, okay, he's a little scared of the zombies thing. When he's older, we'll try. And then I was talking to a parent, and I heard all the other kids say, like, we're all zombies now. Who do we chase? And then they all looked at Lorenzo, who is like 10 feet away from me. And maybe I've seen too many movies, but this happened in slow motion. All the boys looked at him and they were like, get him. And he just, in slow motion, like ran to me. And I'm like, guys, he's scared. It's pretty funny. It's a bit funny. But other than that, he's a pretty tough big boy. I just want to save him from the irrational fear that I and many of us have. Like, how many people that are scared of clowns have ever, like, gotten attacked by a clown? I can't remember any time that an Oreo tried to harm me, but I was very irrational when I was scared of that. So it's hard to control. And another good one where irrationality got the best of me. I was in high school. The girl I was dating at the time, me and her went and saw Paranormal Activity, the first one. It was like the midnight 12:30 showing on a Thursday. Pretty sure we even had school. It was very, very ridiculous, but I thought I was brave enough to do it, and I was until I dropped her off at her house. So this is 2 a.m. And I'm not even particularly scared of ghosts, hence the irrational fear of it. But she was a little nervous, so I walked her to her house, and then I got back to my car. And then when I drove to my house in the same neighborhood, I was terrified. As soon as I got out of the car, 2 a.m, no sounds, darkness everywhere, I ran to my house. I definitely ran to my house. And so from like 3 to 5 in the morning, I couldn't sleep, especially since upstairs kind of looks like the movie Paranormal Activity. It doesn't matter how scary or not scary you think it is. My imagination got the best of me. I kept hearing a whole bunch of noises, which might have been raccoons in the walls, honestly. But either way, ghosts. So I was so scared I ended up trying to sleep downstairs. And my grandma was staying with us at the time, and she was sleeping on the couch on the other side of the room. But I locked the door. I locked the door so the ghosts couldn't enter. Yeah, irrational, like I said. But I locked the door, and so what I woke up to was a loud banging on the door. And it was dark. And I couldn't see my grandma on the other side of the room, so I was just hiding behind the blankets. Once again, ghosts can't get me through the blankets. But after what felt like 30 seconds of very loud banging from right there, then I heard my grandma say, "Is anybody in there?" And I realized I locked my grandma out because she went to go get the newspaper at 5 a.m, like a weirdo. And once I turned on the lights, I realized she wasn't laying on the couch anymore, and it wasn't a ghost at the door. But I mean, that irrational fear gets the best of me sometimes. And that's another favorite story that people bring up all the time. Like, oh, you get so scared you lock grandma out. But it was a good one. And I don't know. Halloween's not all about scares. It's also about candy and jack-o'-lanterns. No, it's about more than candy. Because I really like it because whatever kids want to be, whatever they imagine that they can be, it's probably the most supportive parents end up being. Like, he wants to be Luigi, he could be Luigi. That's great. My other sister wants to be a rapper, and not a candy rapper, like a rapper, like a rapper. And since her name's Lily, her rapper name is Lil, and she's pretty proud about that. But I mean, either way, there's so much imagination for Halloween, and that's why I like it the most, because kids can be whatever they want, and parents, even if they're getting drunk, walking their kids through the neighborhood, the parents are still there. So it's a really good way to support them, and it makes me pretty happy about it. The kids might think it's all about candy, and a lot of times it is, except for Lorenzo, who loves puppies more than candy, which makes me pretty happy. But it's one of my favorite holidays, times of the year, because usually I'm with family. Like, we have a pretty large family, we always go, and I get to see all their personalities and what they decide to be, and I really love getting to see that. But 2 years ago, I stayed here and handed out candy, and I think that was probably one of the most fun times I've had in a while, just because all the kids came, all their costumes, and such sweet thank you and trick-or-treat voices. And it was just fun to be able to give candy and see so many smiles, especially to all the teenagers who I have to imagine are the ones that probably smash our pumpkins every year. Be extra nice to teenagers. That way they probably won't smash your pumpkin. Some of my favorite things to say when kids were coming to get candy was grab a handful. They don't get to hear that often, and they're like, really? With big eyes and a huge smile. And, well, that's probably why we ran out of candy so fast last time. But it's fine, because the kids that did get candy got a lot of candy. And it just, especially since I try so hard to make people smile, Halloween is the easiest way to do that. Like, here's candy. You know, you get your costume and you get candy. It's that simple. Yeah, and it's so fun. It really is just so many smiles, and I felt great for a long time after handing out candy. And my focus really is mental health and improving the happiness of everybody else, giving them smiles, as with this video. And so that's why Halloween's such a good time for me. And Christmas too, but Christmas costs more money to make people smile. So it's a little more difficult than like, here's some candy, kids. It's so fantastic. So, but like I said, mental health is my focus, and I've been focusing more on my podcast because I hope that, spreads more good vibes. And my podcast is called Good Vibes Imminent, if you haven't heard of it before. I'm going to create a way to have all my YouTube videos and my podcast together soon. But just remember, for Halloween or after Halloween, just remember to smile as much as you can and help others around you smile as much as you can.